Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, today we are going to analyze some few pairs. Okay, so I currently have like how many pairs of these? Like 6 pairs that I took last week, and then we look at the ones that I'll be focusing on, which are the bottom ones over here, around 6 of them. So we have a lot to cover. So first and foremost, the first trade we took was on oil. We took this trade on my premium group, and you can see price played out nicely over here. I anticipated the move to start from this area going all the way down to these levels over here, but you can see price pushed the downside and then immediately came back up, though we managed to secure some profits. As you can see from my 1 hour chart, we managed to get 2 entries over here at the top and in the middle over here after the first correction when this push occurred. So immediately the price came back up and formed this smaller correction to the downside. I moved my stops just above this area over here, and you can see this big green candle took me out. So I was looking for another entry in these levels because I wanted to take this trade from these levels all the way to the downside, but you can see the price didn't give me that enough momentum to enter the market, so I wasn't that confident in this trade over here. And you can see the price pushed the upside, and we have this pattern over here for a long time. Okay, so with this pattern I'm expecting this push to go all the way to the third touch over here, or we can also come up with the inner pattern from these areas. As you can see, the inner pattern also lines up nicely with the bigger pattern. Okay, these patterns are lining up so nicely. So if we manage to reach all the way to these levels, then get that down push, we'll look for a first correction over here to take the sales to the downside. So this trade will be a long-term trade, and I'll be focusing on it very keenly because it has high reward. Okay, because this pattern is from the higher time frame pattern. As you can see, this one is probably the daily chart pattern, and it's correcting the big move. This big move happened during the Russian war. Okay, so with this big move over here, with this huge candle over here, the red candle, this is the price action that is correcting it, so that we continue with the push to the downside. So better be on the lookout for this one, because the down push is going to be a big one. Okay, so next trade we took was on silver. Silver and gold we took on Monday. Okay, silver and gold we took on Monday, and I'm anticipating this price to push back down to these levels over here, so that we get the overall buys up to maybe these levels over here where we had the impulsive candles. Then from here we'll see the price action, whether to sell or to continue with the buys. But in these low levels over here, if you go down to a lower time frame, we managed to catch the entry on Monday over here. Okay, we caught an entry over here. After this down push, I waited for a correction on a 1 hour time frame, and then I entered the market. So once I entered the market in these levels, this candle was probably a news candle because it pushed so aggressive to the downside. So knowing that this one could easily retrace back up because this one was just news, I moved my stops quite tight so that I secure more profits. And my overall target, as you can see, this pattern was not there. Let me just show you. This pattern was not there because my overall target was in these levels where I was looking for my overall buys to the upside. But as you can see, the price didn't play out up to these levels, so I was keen to look at the price action in these areas. If the market will be approaching correctively, then I could have taken this for long-term buys, but the price didn't reach my value area where I anticipated it. So that's why I came up with this pattern. Okay, I had this 1 2 3 pattern over here, and so I was waiting for another entry at the top over here. I waited for this top, but it didn't come all the way to my third touch for a potential push to the downside. Okay, so with this move, I'm currently not looking for any trade because my value areas have not been have not been triggered yet. So I'll just be on the lookout for this one, because it can consolidate in this level again, push back up, maybe giving us this inner pattern over here, then this third touch to take us to the downside to this level. So I'll be looking for our buys. So be alert on this one also, but it's not ready anytime soon for me. That is according to the way I trade. This one won't be ready anytime soon, but these are some lovely profits of around 569 pips. So silver was nice. Also the same move, this one was silver. So the same move happened on gold. Okay, the same move happened on gold. As you know, those two metals tend to move the same. As you can see, we managed to get this clear 1 2 3 touch over here, and then it lined up nicely with my value area. So I first took the trade in these levels, so when the price pushed aggressive to the downside, I managed to secure some profits over there, and then the price came back up deep and tagged me out. So I looked for another entry over here, of which once I saw these weak rejections in this level, I got back in after this impulsive bearish candle over here. I got in from this area. Then when the market was moving down, it started moving correctively. As you can see, it moved quite correctly in these areas. So I decided to move my stops a bit more in profits, as you can see from these levels, and that's where this big candle came and tagged me out. So on gold pair, it was a nice setup, and I'm currently out because I'm looking for my buys in these levels. So I'm waiting to see if the price will reach these levels for me to look for my buys. Okay, so that's it on gold. Let's go next on Euro Kiwi. Euro Kiwi was also a nice setup over here. This one was also a nice setup. Okay, let's see. As you can see, we are still in a very deep correction. This was a very deep correction, guys. So with this correction, I'm expecting this price to push all the way up to these levels minimum. That is if the correction has finished. If this correction has finished, then I'll be looking to look for sales up to this target over here. So currently I managed to take a trade in these levels because I had my value area in that area, and I didn't have this pattern over here. Let me just remove this pattern. Okay, this pattern was not there, even this value area was not there. So I had this value area of mine where I was looking for this correction to finish for me to enter the trade. And since this level have been having some reaction on it, I just targeted these levels so that I see what will happen in these levels. Okay, so I managed to get my entry at the top here after this third touch. Okay, and the price pushed nicely down for around 100 pips, and now it's moving up correctively again. So with this move correctively, we can come up with this pattern. Okay, we can come up with this expanding pattern which looks like a bigger correction. Okay, this one looks like a bigger correction. So with this expanding pattern, I'll be looking to see if the price will reach my level over here, so that I take those sales to the downside. And with this move, I can see that the correction is not yet finished. Okay, with this move I can see that the correction is not yet finished because I'm expecting one last drop before the overall push to the upside. And with that in mind, going back to a forward chart, if you go back to our forward chart, you can be able to see this correction. And if you just draw a pattern, you can see this correction. We have two touches at the top, and you can see this third touch over here will line up perfectly with this trend line. And from the bottom, I can take it from this red one over here. Okay, so as you can see, with this pattern we only have two touches from the bottom and two touches at the top. So I'm expecting another drop to the downside to reach this level, so that we take the overall buys up to these areas. So be alert on these sales over here, because it's going to be a long one. Be alert on these sales at the top over here if it will play out as expected. So next, let's go through Kiwi card. Kiwi card, it was also a nice setup. Okay, card was a nice setup. As you can see from last week analysis, I analyzed this pair and I remember I told you guys I took this trade over here, but it came and tagged me out. But again, I reiterated at the top over here, and I might to get another entry when the price was in a correction phase in these levels. So going back to our 1 hour time frame, as you can see, I got tagged out in these levels because once this price pushed down aggressive, this price quickly reversed to the upside, and this correction was so deep, so I managed to secure some profits in these areas because I moved my stops up to these levels. So when the price pushed back up, I was tagged out, and currently I'm seeing this as a big correction over here, because my overall target is in these lows down here. So if this is to move correctively the upside, giving us this third touch, then we look for another sell up to these levels where I'll be looking for my overall buys. So watch out on this pair also, as it's shaping up nicely. This is a very deep correction of which I did not want to be part of. Okay, but if it manages to play out as anticipated, we'll be in for some good reward in this trade. So be alert again on this one, guys. This one looks so nice. Okay, and last pair that I was in was in euro pound. This is the one that we took a loss, and I posted this one on my free channel also. This one was a very nice setup. As you can see, after this impact the downside, we managed to get this correction, which was indicating for us a continuation to the downside. But you can see, once the price reached my value area, this is the value area that I was anticipating for the drop, and the value area lined up perfectly with the third touch over here, and it showed us the bearish signs in this pair. So with that in mind, I took the entry after these two red candles over here. I took the entry from these levels, and once the price started to move, I was confident with this trade because the correction was so nice. But unfortunately it broke to the upside and is currently pushing to the upside. So currently I'm out in this pair, and I'm not looking for any other entry because just looking at this pair, it's not moving quite nice. Okay, this pair has been moving correctively throughout, so I won't focus much on this pair. Okay, I'll be looking for other pairs that will have better setups than this one. Okay, so currently I have one position active going to the weekend, and that is Aussie CHF. Aussie Swiss franc. This is the only pair that I'm currently active in, and I entered it on, it was on Friday. I think it was Friday. Okay, I entered this pair on Friday, and it reached my level quite nicely. My value area was in these levels over here, and I had this 1 2 3 touch at the bottom here. Also, I had this expanding pattern over here. Okay, so I had so much confidence in this trade. As you can see, I had this expanding pattern, and in this expanding pattern, it extended with this 3 touch pattern over here. So with that in mind, and keeping, as you can see, keeping in mind also, we didn't have the third touch at the bottom here. So I'll be waiting to see this drop all the way to this third touch, then we look for our overall buys, because this correction has not yet finished and is not ready for the push to the upside. So I'll be waiting to see if this price will push all the way to these levels over here to get our third touch. Okay, so this is the only trade that I'm currently active in, and hopefully it will bring us some nice profits. So next, let's go through pairs that we'll be focusing on the coming week. Let's see, we have some few pairs that we'll be focusing on the coming week. First and foremost, we are going to go through USD card. I told you guys that dollar pairs will start to push the upside because they have been moving so aggressive to the downside. Okay, so we are still yet to get that big correction to continue the move to the downside. With dollar card, we had a nice 2-3 touch pattern over here. Okay, this one was a nice 3 touch pattern, and currently I'm focusing on that reversal over here. Okay, so going back on a lower time frame, we had this pattern, I managed to get this pattern over here, and currently we're at the low of that pattern, and currently the price is playing around over here. So I'm just waiting to see if I'll get that impulsive push to the upside correction, then we get that entry for the continuation to the upside, because I'm seeing these are the bigger correction since this move did not have that big correction, and my overall target is in these levels over here. This is the area that I'll be looking to take the overall sales to the downside. So this move, I expect it to go all the way to these levels up here. So it's a very nice reward if you manage to get it early. If this plays out, it's going to be a nice reward. And this one goes to all dollar pairs because they have not yet given us that big correction. So focus on that reversal. It has not yet formed, but currently I'm seeing the signs of which coming through. Okay, so focus on dollar pairs. Next we have CAD Swiss franc. CAD Swiss franc also is moving quite nicely, and actually it's just close to my value areas. As you can see, the price pushed down impulsively. Okay, this one was so impulsive, and with this impulsive move we got another move to the upside. This move doesn't look quite corrective because it's so straight like the impulse to the downside, because I was expecting this move to give us like a correction move up to my value areas over here for us to continue the downside. But you can see the move is quite steep. This move is quite steep, which is hard to draw a pattern on it. But my value areas to look for sales is in these levels, so I'll be focusing on the sales in that area. Okay, I'll be focusing on the sales in that area, or look for a safer entry at the break of this trend line. Okay, if this price breaks this trend line, I'll be looking for those sales to the downside. Okay, so focus also on this pair. It looks quite nice. Okay, this one looks quite nice, and also you should bear in mind, since the price has moved quite steep like this, there is high chance it can react to this level, then come back up again, then finally drop the downside, giving us this 1 2 3 touch over here. So this will only be a cleaner correction that will confidently take to the downside. So be alert on this possibility also, because this one is also possible to happen. But if this price pushes down from here, we can catch these sales over here, then catch another sales at the top over here. So be alert on this one also, because it's shaping up nicely. Next is pound Kiwi. Pound Kiwi also looks nice. As you can see, the price has been moving correctively. I expected this price to push up from these levels over here, but it pushed up, came back again to the level, pushed up again, and now it's returning back to that same level. But as you can see, it's returning so correctively. Okay, and currently we're just waiting for that third touch over here for us to continue with the move to the upside. And with this move to the upside, we will be careful with it, because right now what the price is showing us is this expanding pattern over here. Okay, so there is high chance that this might form an expanding pattern, giving us this third touch and then drop again to the downside. So we need to be careful with this trade, but we'll be focusing on it and see what will happen at the bottom over here. So let's just wait for that correction up to these levels where we'll be looking for our buys to the upside. So focus in these areas, guys. Focus in these areas, because this pair looks good, and it's actually this one is for next week, and it will be a very nice trade, because for me overall I want it to reach up to these levels over here. This is my overall area to look for any other setup. But as you can see, this is another pattern that is currently forming out in this pair. Okay, this is current pattern that forming up in this pair, and as you can see from this pair and this expanding pattern that is forming here, it's giving us more clue that this trade might soon go down once this final up push has finished. Okay, so we be alert on this pair and we watch how the market will move. Okay, for now focus on the buys. For now focus with the buys, because the move, the top is quite, this pound Kiwi, it moves with a lot of pips. So up to this recent high over here, it's around 500 pips. So focus on this up move before we look for those sales to the downside. Okay, next let's go through CAD yen. yen pairs have been pushing aggressive to the upside, and with that in mind, some yen pairs have given me some nice higher time frame patterns that I'm currently focusing on. As you can see, this is CAD yen on weekly chart. You can see on weekly chart we have this big pattern over here, and currently the price is pushing aggressive to the upside, of which I'm looking to see what will happen on this third touch at the top over here. If it manages to push the downside, then we look for that overall sells to the downside. Yen pairs will still have big moves this year. Okay, before the end of this year, yen pairs will have a very big move to the downside, but they are just not yet ready. Okay, this, when you go to a lower time frame, the yen pairs drop from this level, but you can see this is just corrective phase on higher time frame. Okay, this is just corrective phase on the higher time frame, because as you can see, this weekly candle, it's so impulsive to the upside, so but the momentum is still to the upside. So with that in mind, I'm focusing on this pattern over here. Okay, this pattern over here and this high over here. If it gives me extension, I'll focus on this high over here to see what will happen on it, so that we get those overall sells to the downside. Okay, I have like 2 yen pairs that I think they look nice on higher time frame. That is CAD yen and Kiwi yen, and I'll be patiently waiting to see this trade, because these setups can be setups of the year, you know, because this is the weekly chart. This one looks so nice and clean, so we'll focus on it during the month to see how it will go. So lastly, let's go through crypto. We start with Ethereum. I've been talking about crypto, guys. The up push about to begin, and currently we are still at the bottom. We have not yet fully committed the upside. Okay, we are still at the bottom, and if I invert this scale, as you can see, we are at our key value area over here, and our third touch lined up perfectly with that level. Okay, our third touch lined up quite nicely. Going down to daily time frame, we are still consolidating in that area. Okay, we are still consolidating in that area, and I'm still looking for my buys. Okay, I thought this one could be the first impulse to the upside. So you can see this huge candle, I took this one as the first impulse to the upside, so I wanted to see another impulsive candle, then a correction to get that entry to the upside. But as you can see, the price still pushed the downside, but it's still at our value area where we are focusing to enter the market. So on crypto, we are still looking for those buys. Okay, if we manage to get another push to the upside, we can look for those buys to continue to the upside. But also in mind, the way this price is moving, we might get another expanding pattern over here, so that we get this third touch and then one last push, and then if we go for our overall buys. So you should be alert on this trade, and it's so risky currently. If you want to get a safe entry, just wait for the price to play out on higher time frame, because on lower time frame, this area will catch a lot of people on these areas. But if you are an investor, you can invest now, because it's on the low side. It's quite low actually. Ethereum and Bitcoin, they are on the low side, of which this one, if you start investing now, there is a high chance you are going to reap some massive profits in the next 5 years to come. Okay, so Ethereum looks nice, but it's just not yet ready. Same applies with Bitcoin. Okay, let's see at Bitcoin. Same applies with Bitcoin. Bitcoin also looks so nice on higher time frame. Okay, as you can see, Bitcoin is still at our value area. If let me just invite it. If I invert it, in fact, Bitcoin looks even better, because it has this bigger pattern which we are at our third touch, and the inner pattern which is also at our third touch. So all I'm waiting for me, I have this trend line over here. Okay, I have a trend line, overall trend line over here, which if it breaks now, I'll confirm that the price will be pushing to the upside. So all I'm waiting for right now is that momentum, the push upside, followed by that correction, that I'll look for my entry to take the overall buys. Okay, so these ones are so close. These ones are so close to be ready. You just have to be patient on them, and the reward is so massive on Bitcoins. On crypto is going to be a nice trade. It's going to be a nice trade. So that's it for this week, guys. Okay, remember to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.